Welcome to round 3 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of September 20th. I'm Nicole Eridix, and I'm here with Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
And Terry Morrow.
Hello.
We're moms of teens and young adults, and when it comes to parenting, we've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But we're still waiting for that day when we'll reach the finish line and have no further need to lay down in a dark room with a wet rag over our eyes worrying about something or other. Wednesday is complaint day here on Parenting Roundabout, and today we are complaining about roommate life. So, roommates, love them, hate them, what, like, yeah, let's discuss. I mean, I've had both. I've had both situations. When I was in university, I lived in the dorms at one point, and in a single, and I was on a floor with 20 girls. That was fine. Actually, 30 girls. Because I had a lot of, there were options. And then the following year, I moved into a dorm there was 6 of us, and one of them and I just did not jive. And then the following year, I moved off campus with a friend, and that was awesome. I enjoyed that. And the reason this whole topic came up is because my daughter is now at that same university, not in the same dorm, but in a similar situation where she's living with other people that she was just kind of put together with on campus. And yeah, it got off to a bit of a rocky start initially. And it's hard to know how things are going to turn out, obviously, because you could just end up being best friends in the end, right? But I just spoke to her last night, and she said, I think things are getting better. I think, one actually said hi to me this morning. So I'm like, okay, that's a good start. So, yeah, it's definitely challenging. And it's like, how much do you put up with? How much do you... It's hard to live with other people who aren't somebody that you want.
Or family.
Or somebody that you choose to have there, right? Right. So how about you guys? What was your experiences? What about your kids?
Well, mine, like yours, is in a house, an off-campus house, right? Well, yours is not off-campus, but anyway, she's in with a group of 5 total people. And last year, for the sort of small part of the year that she was actually at school, she was just with one other person for most of that time. And, as you said, it's been up and down in the first several weeks that they've been there. Like after 2 weeks, there was a kind of a big situation, but it's better now. Well, yeah, there was this many misunderstandings that led to lots of hurt feelings, and
yuck.
But it's apparently better now. But then you have the classic. One's boyfriend is always here and, keeping his food in our fridge and putting his dishes in our sink and all of that. I'm like, been there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I found it interesting when my daughter went to university the first year, and she lived in the dorms where there was a lot of girls in one space. And they had a big meeting at the beginning of the year, and they actually set down some ground rules, like, do we want boys on the floor? If they're on the floor, can they use the bathrooms? If they're using the bathrooms, can they use the showers? If they're it was very kind of laid out. And, most of the girls had single rooms, so they weren't necessarily sharing that space, but some of the girls had double rooms. And they would go to extra meetings to, draw up, because Kristen had a friend that was in a double. And they drew up a contract at the beginning of the year. They set down, who was responsible for what. And I just thought that's a really great approach, because you're just kind of getting all that stuff out of the way right off the bat, right? Like, it seems very formal, and maybe somebody who is not used to that would go, well, why would we have to do that because we're best friends? But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you really do need to do that because you are best friends.
You would like
you
to
don't want to take advantage
if you want to
of
keep it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really kind of neat. Yeah. And then, so that's kind of what helped Kristen turn the corner in all this with her situation, is that she actually just said to her group, like, look, like, we need some, responsibilities here. Who's going to do what and what's going to happen. And so she said things have been a little bit better since. So, yeah. But I think it's worth it. I think I should have done that with my husband.
Maybe it's not too late.
I don't know.
Put that tag team parenting thing in code, say here, right, sign here. You're taking...
Sign here.
I'm passing off to you sometimes. Here's your schedule.
Yes. Here's your roommate responsibility list.
Yeah.
Aw.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I was worried, going into this, because when my daughter shared last year, it was just a dorm room. So it was a bedroom and a bathroom, basically. It wasn't a kitchen, and now they have a kitchen and, more common space. And, as I may have mentioned here, she has a tendency of just leaving her stuff wherever. And I'm like, how's that going to work out for you? Like not washing her dishes, that kind of thing. But I think when she doesn't have her mother doing it for her, suddenly she realizes that she needs to take care of it and be responsible for herself. So, but I did speak to her the other day, and she was showing me how, like, we just made banana bread and we're going to make, cookies, and we're going to make these other things. I'm like, wow, what's with all the baking? And she said, well, the kitchen is clean right now. So we were in the mood for baking. She didn't say who cleaned it, but
right.
Just that, for once the kitchen was clean. So she was.
Yeah.
Reminds me.
They were baking.
Of a memorable moment from the one time I shared an apartment with 3 other people, and we came out one morning and found a ring of ants just going up the wall, through the cabinets where the honey was kept and was kind of leaking, and then down to the sink, and then across the counter. And there was just this, it was like a highway, It's this big, huge band of ants moving around. So there was probably some recrimination as to who left out whatever it was that attracted the ants. But it's a beach town. You don't need much to attract the ants. They just are. But, But
what was it you said, Terry, that I don't know if this was the same house or the same place, but you were going to share.
Yes, this was the same
cooking,
place.
And then somebody made something truly
eggplant and pineapple casserole.
What?
We had 1 week of all chipping in together and buying stuff at the grocery store, and we were each going to cook one night. And this woman who was living with us was from Germany. Perhaps that's a German thing, although pineapple. But anyway, I think partway through that dinner, the other 3 of us looked at each other and went, we're just going to have to make our own food from now on. This collective thing isn't going to work. There was also a whole thing about toilet paper, that some of us were using too much toilet paper, and that had to be monitored. And our toilet paper using habits had to be examined and, adjusted by the more frugal users in the house.
I feel like communal stuff just never works.
No, it does not. It really doesn't. I think after that, first year in college, I was in the dorms, a double room with a friend from high school. And so that worked out really well for the 2 of us. And it was sort of fun living with all these other people, but having our own room with somebody that I sort of knew, that I knew fairly well. And then the second year, she and I got an apartment with somebody she knew from church and a woman that this third person knew. And so there were 4 of us. It was 2 bedrooms. One had twin beds and the other had bunk beds. So halfway through the year, we switched rooms. But it was fine. It was nice to be in an apartment. It was the college that I went to, UC Santa Barbara, has this little kind of student slum right on the outside of it called Isla Vista, which is sort of very laid back. And they have tons of cheap apartments for students. And it was very, very close to the campus. You just ride your bike onto campus from there. So that was super simple. And I am glad I had that experience of sharing an apartment with 4 people. I mean, I guess I share a house with 4 people now, but it's different. So just four individuals. But the following year I had a studio apartment and I never looked back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it was all living by myself until I got married. There was one time when I was living in Kansas City, a coworker and I talked about getting an apartment together because we could get a bigger apartment if we chipped in, then we could each get individually. But we chickened out.
Yeah.
So, and we both just kept living by ourselves. So I love living with my husband and I love living with my family, but I also enjoyed living alone just fine and did not feel the need to have a random stranger or even a friend who I wished to remain a friend come live with me.
Right.
No. And my kids have not had a roommate experience at all. On a band trip maybe or at Special Olympics, but just no more than a few nights, just a very short period of time. And it was, in my son's case, it was very highly supervised. And in my daughter's case, it was poorly planned by adults, to see who was having to be in a room with who. I wish that somebody had, they just let the kids decide who was going to be with who. And that means somebody gets left out but it was just the shortest possible time. They've never lived out of the house. So we are their roommates. They have an experience of sharing a house with 3 other people, but family doesn't count.
Yeah, when my kids had a few situations like what you mentioned where they would be on some kind of school trip or team trip, the adults assigned the rooms.
Yes.
You have to, I think.
I really wish they had done that.
Yeah.
But that was just a very minimal roommate experience. And, sometimes I think it would be good. But then I remember when I did it. And
then you remember the eggplant pineapple casserole.
And the people saying you use too much toilet paper, please.
Stop with the toilet paper.
Right.
I don't know. I guess we were profligate with toilet paper in my upbringing because it was never an issue at home.
That's so funny.
Boy.
Well,
my daughter is very lucky because she has a little half bath all to herself.
Ah, that's nice.
It's only a half, there's no shower in there.
Yeah.
But she can use her own comfortable amount of toilet paper.
Nice.
Yes. I can't remember if we had 2 bathrooms in that apartment with the 2 bedrooms or if we all 4 of us shared I don't think we all 4 of us shared a bathroom. I think it was sort of split, but I'm not sure. That was a long, long time ago. Those were the days.
Right.
That I am glad are gone. But as roommate experience went, it was not horrible. I mean, nobody was bringing men home at night. Nobody was stealing the other person's things. We all got along pretty well. Right. It's just,
So I guess the
stuff comes up.
The eggplant chef was not offended when you all were like,
whether she was or not, I don't know. I don't remember if we even ate it. We must have eaten it because you got it to be polite.
Oh, boy.
But,
I could not imagine.
Wow. I'd still remember it all these years later. So sorry, Petra. We were rude. We're just Americans with limited palates. Well, if we were all someplace we could be roommates, wouldn't that be fun? But instead, we are just virtual roommates.
That's right.
Once a week as we record these podcasts together. And nobody asks anybody about toilet paper. It doesn't come up. And that is it for today's round 3. Tune in tomorrow when we'll obsess about kids' food obsessions. And then on Friday to see what we've come up with for our Roundabout Roundup picks this week. Mine is almost as appetizing as pineapple and eggplant. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there on our Facebook page or on Twitter, where you will find us at Roundabout Chat.